Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Johnny Robertson. We are live here on What Does the Bible Say? Appreciate you being with us. Have a good show tonight. We think information that's going to be useful, helpful to you as an individual who is in society. Folks, we have got to make sure that we're doing something, because if we're not, when things end up going bad, who are we going to blame? Who are we going to say? What are we going to say when individuals say, well, what did you do? What part did you play? And that actually is my lesson tonight. The thought that we're going to be working on tonight is, really, when you get down to it, who cares about anything? I am simply amazed, and I think tonight, and we try really hard, folks. We try really hard to get our point across, and every week I actually think, okay, this week we are going to get the point across, and I believe tonight that we will. I think that the information that I have for you tonight is such that it actually can move you to another level in your realization. But I'm a little bit scared, because I know that individuals many times would just ride a train that is headed for a wreck, and they can be told by the conductor that all is well, and because you can't see the front of the tracks, the conductor continues to tell you what he's been told, and you ride the train right into the wreck. And so many times individuals, because they won't look in front, they won't pay attention, they won't do a little bit of investigating. Now, I'm going to do the investigating for you. The question is will it move you this time? And the question that we're dealing with tonight is, in our country, who cares about anything? And when we're talking about who cares, you know, we all know that people care about money. As long as we got the money coming in, as long as things are status quo, then we'll pretty much just kind of sit there and simmer. But the question is, can it continue? In the fashion that we're going, can things continue? You know, our young people, they're watching us. I'm 50 years old. I have teenage children. I have grown children, a daughter that's nearly 30 and a son that's 17. And I know that if I tell them one thing and act another way, eventually they're going to leave behind the tradition of their daddy. Because if their daddy doesn't even follow the tradition that he promotes, then what's the point? I remember my dad trying to tell me to be honest while he was being crooked. Once I got old enough to get away from him, I always looked at that and said, why did he tell me to be honest and he was crooked? Why was he trying so hard to instill in me? And it was because he knew it was right. But you know, when you know something's right and you don't even care enough to practice it, do you really think your children and people that watch you and that are influenced by you are going to listen to you? And that's why I say tonight it is so important for us to figure out who cares. Tonight, from Dallas, Fort Worth, Dallas Morning News, to Central New Jersey, and all places in between, Sioux Falls, where is Sioux Falls? South Dakota? We have individuals that are talking about the same thing tonight. And it is something that is so very inconsistent that I just cannot believe it. Tonight, I'm bringing you information that's right here. It emanates from right here in this very area, Lynchburg, Virginia. They're talking about it in the Dallas Morning News. They're talking about it in the New Jersey News. They're talking about it in the Examiner in Sioux Falls. What are they talking about? A close partnership exists between Liberty University, founded by the late Reverend, so-called Reverend, I'm not going to call him Reverend, Jerry Falwell, and Liberty Counsel, Mr. Staver, serves as the Dean of Liberty University Law School. A close relationship, actually a close partnership exists between two entities. University, Liberty University, we all know Liberty University, and Liberty Counsel. Liberty Counsel is supposedly a non-profit, freedom of speech sort of thing, and the guy who runs it, Mr. Staver, Matthew Staver, serves as the Dean of the Liberty University Law School. What is Mr. Staver up to that they're reporting in the Dallas News, in New Jersey, and in Sioux Falls? Well, Mr. Staver, he's an individual that finds himself in the news. He is a person who is speaking to media outside the U.S. Supreme Court after a hearing. That's the level that this man is operating. To keep political correctness this time of year from invading too far into Christmas, Liberty Counsel, that is Matthew Staver, first organization to launch the Naughty and Nice list a number of years ago, is releasing an updated list which catalogs retailers who either censor, that is, if you censor Christmas, you don't say Merry Christmas, things like that, you're on the naughty list, or recognize Christmas, you're on the nice list. You getting this? Don't forget this word right here. Censor. If you're an individual out there and you're in the business world and you decide that there is enough of your clientele that really doesn't want to get into Christmas, but rather would hear Happy Holidays or Happy Hanukkah or whatever else people say, and you decide that you're not going to push Christmas just all over the place. Let's say you're a bank, and you just try to kind of be in the middle because you've got several different kinds of religious folk, different ethnic backgrounds from different countries, and you decide, using this word censor, that you're not going to push Christmas all that much, that you're just going to be kind of neutral. You know, we do have a lot of atheists and agnostics. One of our biggest mouthpieces on that, he's gone, Bob Lawson. If he was here tonight, he'd probably call in. And basically, that's what this, all of this talk in Dallas and in New Jersey and Sioux Falls and places in between, Florida, and that's what it's been talking about, is this naughty and nice thing is really getting, it's really caught on. The list has been used by shoppers in the past years to decide which stores to patronize during Christmas season, and has been influential in motivating retailers to acknowledge Christmas. So if you don't acknowledge Christmas, you're censoring Christmas. Don't forget that, okay? All right, Dallas news, what's taking place? First Baptist Church of Dallas is making a list this Christmas. Lots of people will be checking it. The Reverend, so-called Robert Jeffers, the church's pastor, announced Tuesday the launch of www.grinchalert.com. There, people can post on a naughty list the names of the businesses that aren't acknowledging Christmas through store displays, advertisements, and greetings to customers. So over in Dallas, they're hitting it hard. They're picking up with what Liberty's up to. Too many businesses have bowed down to political correctness, Jeffers says. I thought this would be a fun way to call out businesses that are refusing to celebrate Christmas. In other words, if you're censoring Christmas, Central Jersey, Wachovia, they're actually writing about what's going on in Orlando, Florida, has adopted a policy this year banning all Christmas trees from the decor in their local office branches this Christmas, according to Liberty Council, a Christian organization based in Orlando. Now, Liberty Council is represented evidently in other places besides just around here, and they're doing a watch list, naughty and nice list over here in Orlando, and it says Liberty Council is continuing its 8th annual Friend or Foe Christmas campaign, pledging to be a friend to those entities that recognize Christmas and a foe to the Christmas censors. Do not miss this point. They're saying that they're going to be a friend to those entities that recognize Christmas and a foe to the Christmas censors. Liberty Council has added the Wachovia Bank to the naughty side of the naughty and nice list, which catalogs companies that either censor, they're naughty, or recognize, they're nice, Christmas. Well, let's just ask the question tonight. Given how they're explaining this, anybody who censors Christmas is a foe. Anybody who recognizes Christmas is a friend. Can we ask tonight just who that puts on the bah humbug list? Because you know what? The last time I checked, the Bible does not mention December 25th at all. As a matter of fact, when you get right down to it, the supreme stater of truth, champion of truth, Jesus Christ himself, actually censored Christmas. There's nothing about Christmas in the New Testament. Nothing about December the 25th. This is a Catholic holiday. It's a Catholic church. It's an egg they hatch. It has nothing to do with the New Testament. So if you get right down to it, folks, Jesus is on the naughty list because Jesus failed to mention Merry Christmas and any of the other stuff that they put on December the 25th. How about that? You see, this, you might be saying, you know what, this just makes no sense to me. It's pointless for you to bring this up. My friends, what you need to realize tonight is this makes all the sense in the world if you're keeping up. Let me help. Let's look together. This is what's playing out.
Lincoln Tunnel between New York and New Jersey, you'll notice a very public war of words going on. It's almost like a boxing match between holiday billboards. On the New Jersey side, the atheists. On the New York side, the Catholics. And each with a strong message for the other.
Christianity is not worthy of respect.
Theirs is a message of hate, ours is a message of love.
The anti-Christmas billboard was set up first by the...
Now, just wait a minute now. Before we jump down this guy's throat, he says that Christianity is not worthy of respect. And on this particular issue, they have up a sign that says, you know it is a myth. This season, celebrate reason, says the atheist and the agnostic. Folks, this being December 25th, putting this on December 25th and saying that Jesus wanted us to celebrate His birth, you could not establish Jesus' birth to save your soul, your pocketbook, your religion, your nation. You cannot do it. It's not in the Bible. Guess what? Jesus censored Christmas out of His own book. Guess what Jesus did elevate? Jesus elevated the day in which He was declared to be the Son of God as a result of fulfilling the prophecies that are stated about Him, and that is the day that He was declared to be the Son of God. Guess what day that would be? Well, folks, it's not December the 25th. It is actually every first day of the week, which is Resurrection Day. But God raised Him from the dead, Acts 13:30, and He was seen many days of them which came up from Galilee to Jerusalem, who are His witnesses unto the people. And we declare unto you glad tidings, how that the promise which was made unto the fathers, God hath fulfilled the same unto us, their children, in that He hath raised Jesus again, as it is also written in the second Psalm. Here it comes. Here it comes. God hath fulfilled the same unto us, their children, in that He hath raised up Jesus again, as it is written in the Psalm about raising Jesus up, Thou art my Son, this day have I begotten Thee. This day, what day? Resurrection Day. That's the day that Jesus wants us to hallow and honor every single day it comes around. And it comes around once a week. It is the first day of every week, and it is Resurrection Day, and it is the day that the psalmist said, Thou art my Son, this day I have begotten Thee. The psalmist was inspired to say that by God the Father, and God wants us to honor His Son on Resurrection Day every single week. But men, you know how they are. Without reason many times, they will begin to do things that they want to do, and that's exactly what is taking place right here. And the atheists and the agnostic, folks, they're calling our hand on it. They're saying, you know it is a myth. I challenge anybody tonight. And see, I'm not trying to be bah humbug. I'm not trying to just get under your skin. What I'm trying to do is to demonstrate to you, if we don't start acting like we've got a brain, and we just do things because we've always done it, and we want to do it this way, and we want to call it right, and we want to call it truth, then people are going to turn away, and they're going to say, you folks are simply without reason. When we demonstrate that Christianity was without reason, guess what? There will be no reason to be a Christian. The reason people are Christians is because there are things that are reasonable in God's Word and in God's way. But when you start setting aside God's way and setting up your myths and start worshiping your myths and your traditions at the same level that you worship what God really says, guess what? You've left reason. There's no good reason to trust you. Because here you are, you've got a book up here that you're claiming is supreme, and you don't even follow the book. You elevate Catholic holidays, Catholic traditions up with the same level as what God actually says. And you'll have people fight about, independent Baptists will put on their sign, 1611, King James only. And then they'll turn around and they will do something in front of the agnostics and the atheists and the Muslims and the different individuals that don't believe in this book. They will do something that's not in this book and claim it as their foremost tradition. It's one of our most sacred rites. And Jonathan Falwell goes around and Matthew Staver, Liberty Council, close partnership with Liberty University, they will go around and have a naughty and nice list, and you end up being on the naughty list if you don't do what they say. And guess what? Jesus evidently is on the chief naughty list because Jesus censored Christmas. Guess what? Jesus, who is supposed to be the reason for the season, didn't put it in His book. Didn't mention it. The Pope is the one who's behind this, folks, not Jesus. And so I know that turns your world upside down in a way, because we've all been involved in the tradition. Now, you may be involved in a different way. It's a secular holiday to me. It is a time in my whole life as a true Christian when we basically just took a vacation. We didn't have the Star of David. because the Star of David does not fit December the 25th. We didn't have any of the nativity scenes because none of that happened on December the 25th. There's not a scholar anywhere that can prove it. If you get into the dictionaries and to your scholars in your particular denomination, you'll find that they'll tell you the same thing. It's not in there. We just do it and we call it right. Well, guess what? Somebody's calling your hand on it now. A whole segment of the United States is basically bound, and you might be saying, well, why? What's their problem? Are they just wanting to make it hard on all of us, on the rest of us, because they're unhappy? Let's go ahead and see what's wrong with these individuals, what their problem is. This took place on a Fox News report. The other was at AP. Listen to some of the back and forth research that's been done, why the agnostics have spent $20,000 to put this sign up for the time frame that it's going to be up.
They would listen to the end result.
And talking about a spectacle, when you're driving from New Jersey through the Lincoln Tunnel, Manhattan, there's a big atheist billboard up there just in time for Christmas. Now, I don't object to being an atheist. It's America. You don't want to believe in God? Fine. You can believe in Bill Maher. He created everything. All right? But why would you want to run down, and I've asked this question before, Carlson, why do you run down people's sincere beliefs by this kind of an exposition? Do they think this is going to create more atheists?
Yeah, because you...
Now, you know, I really have a hard time with him asking that question like that. He says that global warming is based upon nothing. And he runs down Al Gore and all these individuals that are talking about global warming all the time. Now, he says if you're in America, you can believe what you want to. And if it's not based upon science, just leave them alone. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't practice what he preaches. He believes that it's harmful for them to foment a falsehood, to promote something that's not true. Well, guess what? The atheist and the agnostic, they feel that way too. Continue to listen what's going on in their psyche during this season. Take a listen.
I and Margaret right now, we're talking about this,
Yeah, but
right?
okay, go ahead.
So we're giving this the attention that they know that we will.
But it makes
number
people
one.
angrier against atheists.
Yes,
That's
but
what it
number
does.
two, they never put up these billboards in July, do they?
Right, yeah.
They always have to try and hijack
But
the
tell
Christmas
me
season.
why. What is the mentality that you want to put this stuff up and offend people who enjoy Christmas and believe in that Christ?
This society has made it easier for them to do that.
Okay, but you're not
I
answering
know
my
why.
question.
I will tell you
All
why.
right.
I went to the website, and my name is
Yes.
Hoover, and I went to the website, and it says, here's why it says they do it at Christmas. They do it at Christmas, Bill,
Yes.
because atheists feel alone during Christmas, because everybody else is religious
Atheists
and
feel
together.
alone.
No, they also use, no, this is what the website says. I have it right here.
Well, why don't they go-
also said
why don't they go to atheist parties?
get this, they feel closeted, because they feel like they can't come out to the people they love. Guess what? This is by their own words.
Now, that's valid. You know what? If you don't believe in this season, guess what? It is difficult for you. Everybody is out there claiming that it's the reason for the season. They're all talking about Jesus and having Christmas cantatas and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm a Bible reader, and I'm just like, am I ignorant? Do I have a mental block? What's wrong with me? Why is it that I can't just go headlong and pretend that this is really Jesus' birthday? Why can't I do that? Is there something wrong with my mentality? Or, you know, and every year at Christmas time, so-called Christmas time, I mean the secular holiday, this time frame of the year, I have to go through that. I have to preach on it. I have to inform individuals, listen, we're spending the majority of the money that we spend in a year. The best shopping days, the retailers do most of their business around this time. And what's it all based on? Jesus is the reason for the season. Jesus is a giver. If you want to believe in Jesus and be like Jesus, you're going to give. And people actually give to themselves. They bestow upon themselves much more than they need. The rest of the world is doing without. And we bloat and fill ourselves with all of these things, and anybody who doesn't, you're bah humbug. And actually, Jesus doesn't have anything to do with this. This is something that the Catholic Church actually brought in from pagans in order to keep the pagans happy. Watch this, y'all. As the pagan world began to be Christianized by the Catholic Church had changed from the New Testament church into the Roman Catholic Church. It really doesn't have that much of a semblance to the New Testament with its leadership. It's more like the Roman government with your bishops, your archbishops, and your pope. It's just exactly like the Senate and the Caesar. they began to bring in the pagans, and the pagans felt really, it was hard for the pagans to give up their holidays that were around this particular time of the year. They actually celebrated different holidays, different times of the year, and it was their tradition. So the Catholic Church just kind of brought that tradition on in and Christianized it, and they made it Christmas. That's where it came from. It's basically a pagan activity that was Christianized by the Catholic Church, and we're all up in it, and we're fighting a segment of our society and telling them that there's something wrong with them because they don't believe in the myth that we've made up. And you've got guys like Jerry Falwell or Jonathan Falwell and Matthew Staber, Liberty University and Liberty Council going around and actually intimidating individuals, telling them that they're naughty if they don't get involved in something that you can't even prove anyway. And now, basically, y'all, does anybody care? You see, that's what our lesson is about tonight. Does anybody care? Well, let's move on to another subject then. You know, a couple of weeks ago, a gentleman called in on this broadcast, and he asked me that question, and I'm going to replay it for you to listen. Given the power that the city has, and that's what we're getting to tonight here on What's the Bible Say?
Yes. Yes, I have a question, please. When Reverend Richardson, you said that he could have done something about regulating these entities coming in.
Now, did I say that?
He couldn't do anything about it at the time.
Did I say that, or did Mr. Mundy say he could have?
Well, Mr. Mundy said it, and you repeated it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. My question to you, sir, is Tim Martin also said the same thing.
Okay.
And my other part of my question is to you, do you really care about the black community and the West End and these entities being on the West End, or are you trying to gain ammunition?
Okay, now, you know, this is a common thing that takes place on a regular basis on my broadcast. Individuals try to impugn my motives. Do you really care about the black community on West End? And what this is commonly called is playing the race card. The gentleman identifies himself as Tony Jones, and he doesn't like it because I continue to bring it up. Listen, he brought it up. He's the one who actually came on my broadcast, told who he was, and then asked me, do I care about the black community? Well, let's just question tonight. Let's just see the record that who has in regard to who cares. Because, see, I really question, does anybody care? Does anybody really care about what's going on? Is anybody going to call Jonathan Falwell and say, you know what, you putting these folks on the naughty list for censoring Christmas? Jesus censored Christmas. He didn't say anything about December 25th being his birthday in his book. Where'd you get it? And all of a sudden, here's Jonathan Falwell and Liberty University and all them involved in putting you on the naughty list. And Jonathan Falwell, if we want to talk about naughty, you talk about naughty. Jonathan Falwell is on the naughtiest Christian network, so-called, in the nation. Let me tell you, friends, Martinsville, Virginia is a peculiar place in one area for sure. There is not another Christian network, so-called, that is as naughty and nasty as the Christian network, so-called, here in Martinsville, Virginia, that is called BTW 21, Behind the Walls, run by Money Mountain and Jackie Poe. There is not another that even gets close that will have Jonathan Falwell broadcast himself on their station while they are broadcasting, teaching you how to mix drinks with Cooking with Paul, BTW, taking you down to Colonial Downs and teaching you how to bet, how to gamble, BTW, Cooking with Paul, going uptown to the dance-a-thons and the drink-a-thon sponsored by the lottery and Coors Light and Smirnoff Ice, and hearing songs by Megan Wilson talking about getting drunk and finding you a man, and just, you know, anything will go. Advertising for flat-out clubs where hard liquor is being sold and telling you that you'll have cool entertainment, you can have a good time up there. I go talk to the head of Money Mountain over there, Jackie Poe, about it. He says he doesn't know anything about what these two guys, Rodney and Chad, do, pastors at his church. He's the state overseer of Virginia for the Church of God in Tennessee, and he doesn't know what two of his pastors are doing. How can he be the state overseer and he don't even know what two pastors are doing in his own church, making him look naughty? They then have the guy's got the vacuum cleaner place, and he's selling his spas, Haley's vacuum cleaner, and they do an infomercial together. And it's almost like when I start bringing up what they're doing, they just can't be naughty and nasty enough, so they ramp it up another. See, when I first started commenting on it, they were stripping down, and they actually had drinks in there when you see them. Well, then they moved it up a step, and they actually showed you the bar and them juicing themselves up to make sure that you knew that they were juicing up with alcohol. Strip yourself down, strip your wife down, strip your neighbor and his wife down, and y'all all get in the hot tub with Haley vacuum cleaner man and Chad and Rodney. Don't one of them do it, they both do it. They both do parts in the infomercial, and guess what the name of it is? Guess what the title is? Live the Dream. Can I ask you, what are you dreaming about? Are you dreaming about getting juiced up with your neighbor's wife? Because listen, folks, even folks who don't go to church, they know better than to juice up with you and your neighbor in a hot tub, in a bikini, and you talking about some kind of dream? Why do you need your neighbor in a dream that has you naked, juiced up? I can't get that dream. So, you see what we're talking about? And they're talking about being naughty and nice? No, I don't think so. I think that's some of the naughtiest behavior that I know of, and that's kind of the audacity of an individual to actually say that somebody else is naughty for censoring December the 25th out of their shopping days. All right. Now, Mr. Jones, he questions me, do I really care? Now, here's the question. Let's just take a look at our track record. Can I bring you back to the the Natural History Museum of Virginia? 25 years ago, the article says, the past 25 years, the Virginia Museum of Natural History has grown from one man's idea until a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art museum that attracts thousands of visitors every year. Really? Is it really such a great attraction? You know, you start looking into the way this thing works, and the schools come in, and the schools actually get money on the one hand, the museum gets money on the one hand, and then the school comes in, and the school trades money with the museum. And how is this thing really helping us? It's actually something that is draining our community. It's one man's dream. Those who were here at the time remember Mr. Boaz taking the dream of his establishment, a museum, to the Martinsville City Council and asking for a building to make that dream a reality. There's your building. There's your money for your community center right there, Mr. Jones. It's being sucked in by the Natural History Museum that is teaching. You know what? You want to get down? You want to get down to what's going on at the Natural History Museum? Just stay with me tonight. Stay with me a little while, and let's just see if this Natural History Museum is really something that has the West End community at heart. And let's see if Mr. Jones or Mr. Robertson, you can just call me Johnny, let's see if Johnny or Mr. Jones is the one who's been taking up the cause of the black community in West End. Oh, you didn't know there was anything in the Natural History Museum that was opposed to you? Well, let's keep going. 25 years ago, the growth at the Virginia Museum of Natural History. In the past 25 years, the Virginia Museum of Natural History has grown from one man's idea to a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art museum that attracts thousands of visitors every year. Saturday, the museum celebrated that history on Founders Day. It was fitting that Noah Boaz returned 25 years after he started the Boaz Foundation, which soon became the Virginia Natural History Museum. Those who were at there remember Boaz taking his dream, establishing a museum to the Martinsville City Council and asking for a building to make that dream a reality. The council let him use the former Joseph Martin Elementary School on Douglas Avenue, and the museum opened in 1985. Mr. Jones, can you not get them to let you use any building? What seems to be the problem? That's not nearly the problem. Let's keep looking at what goes on in the museum. Well, one thing the museum has accomplished since it opened, it is now affiliated with the Smithsonian Institute. Well, that's a wonderful thing to boast about. Well, not really. Does anybody care what's going on at the Smithsonian Institute this month? Christmas exhibit features ant-covered Jesus and naked brothers kissing. The catalog for the event at the Smithsonian actually says about the display that it is a homoerotic display. Smithsonian itself describes in the show's catalog as homoerotic. What does homoerotic mean? It means just what you think it means. A bunch of homosexuals in there acting out and actually taking your tax dollars. Well, now Keith Olbermann says at MSNBC that no tax dollars are being spent on this exhibit. Folks, how dumb can we be? I don't care if our state dollars didn't help them paint the pictures, and I'm glad they didn't. It's bad enough that the pictures are actually in a federally funded museum. And the Martinsville Museum is now affiliated with the Smithsonian. Well, can't Martinsville do something about that? Can't the Martinsville Museum, can't they say something about the behavior of the Smithsonian? They don't care. Do you care? Does anybody care? Does anybody care about anything anymore? I mean, you can be as naughty and nasty here in Martinsville as any place in the United States in religion, and you can actually be the state overseer and say you don't even know what's going on with your pastors. And the biggest pastor in the area who's intimidating other individuals, putting them on the naughty list for censoring Christmas, and Jesus actually censored it from his book. He's on the same network with the filthiest, nastiest, naughtiest behavior of any Christian network that there is. And you wonder why God maybe seems like He's turned His back on Martinsville? It's because nobody cares. Oh, I care. Not only that, I care about West End, as we're going to see as we go on. The Smithsonian is, this is just as depraved as you can get. Ellen DeGenerate, she's massaging herself on this thing, shows all kinds of nakedness. I can't even tell you what's on there. It's pathetic. It is pathetic. Well, how much are we involved? Smithsonian Institution has an annual budget of $761 million, 65% of which comes from the federal government, according to Linda Thomas, the Smithsonian's chief spokesman, and the National Portrait Gallery itself received $5.8 million in federal funding this fiscal year, 2010. According to St. Thomas, it's also received $5.8 million in federal funding in fiscal 2009. According to the museum's annual report, the Galleria's overall funding in that year was $8 million. Let me just say something to the lady who's calling. When you call in and complain to BTW, you can talk to me again. I'm not going to take any more complaints and any more criticism from you until you demonstrate to me that you're an honest, consistent person. You call up Chad and Rodney and you complain about them involvement in the gambling and the dirty dancing and the dirty dreaming and all that kind of stuff. And once you do that, then you can get back on my show. Until you do that, you can keep calling. I'm not taking your call. People that are dishonest and inconsistent and try to take up time on our broadcast, you're not going to do it. Call Rodney and call Chad and make a complaint, or you don't convince me that you really care. You're just taking up time. And I can just keep hanging up as many times as you can call. And I don't mind, because you've demonstrated to me that you don't really care about truth. Now, folks, do you care? Somebody, now, if we're advertising in the newspaper that we're affiliated with Smithsonian here, somebody ought to say something. Does anybody care? That's filth. That's just nasty. I mean, you know, when we talk about the homosexual behavior, many times, all of a sudden now, you get all these shows like Ellen DeGenerate, and it's always something that looks wholesome. You know, she doesn't get nasty and whatever. But they're moving on. You do your research on this, they're moving on. This is nasty. Now you got two brothers kissing naked. Well, see, that's what homosexuality is. It is a depraved lifestyle, and you can call on here and play any kind of social card or any kind of intimidation you want to. When we get down to it, this is what the Smithsonian says about it. Naked brothers kissing, and the person who opposes you is Jesus, and you got Him laid out on a cross, and you got ants covering Him up. Now, what would happen, folks, what would happen, please tell me, if we were to put a Muslim, if we were to put a scene in there of Muslims, and we would actually caption it like this: Smithsonian Muslims rape of children, and call it a wedding. We would have every kind of advocate group, every kind of AFL-CIO and all kinds of different individuals that say you just can't do that. But look at that. That is what's being advertised in the Muslim community. This is a mass wedding, and you're seeing it. Those are little children. Those are not bridesmaids. Those are the brides. This is what Islam actually says is satisfying to these individuals. Now, why can't we put something like that in the Smithsonian? Oh, man, that just wouldn't be politically correct. What we need to do is have somebody's naked brother kissing his naked brother, and have Ellen DeGenerate basically acting out, and all of us pay for it. And in the newspaper, Martinsville Bulletin, oh, you'll never get anything from the Martinsville Bulletin saying that anything is despicable about the Natural History Museum. They're kissing cousins over there. See what we're saying? Nobody cares. Now, you might say, well, why did you bring Mr. Jones in? Mr. Jones, do you really care? Do you know how much money and time we have spent trying to inform this community about Charles Darwin? Charles Darwin is behind all this. Now, I myself don't want anybody in the schools teaching my kids the Bible, because you would teach them falsely. I don't want anybody in the schools praying with my kids, because next thing you know, you're going to have a Muslim praying. If you let a so-called Christian, if you let a Jehovah's Witness pray, you're going to have a Muslim being praying. I don't want Muslims praying with my kids. Charles Darwin is actually how all of that got put out of the schools. So if you want to jump up and down about the fact you don't have any of that in your schools anymore, here's your man. Well, how did he do it? Look at what Charles Darwin did. This is infidel.org, History, Charles Darwin, Descent of Man, Chapter 6. Let's read together. And let's see who cares about the black community in this area. Who has done anything to try to thwart the mentality that actually wants to hold the black community down? Look at this. At some future period, not very distant, as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. I wonder who the savage nations are in Charles Darwin's mind. Well, you don't have to wonder. Just read or listen to what does the Bible say, because we'll tell you, because we care. We care about the black community. We care about all the communities. We care about all the religious people and the non-religious people, the atheist and the agnostic. We care about the homosexual. I'm not going to sit around and let the homosexual feel comfortable being a homosexual. You're on your way to hell just like the agnostic and the atheist, and I can't sit back here and let you feel comfortable. Somebody's got to warn you. Well, you might say, well, this is kind of a nutty way. Listen, you ever read the Bible? There was a guy in here named John the Baptist, and John the Baptist knew how bad things were. And he was out there eating locusts and honey, wearing a leather girdle, and everybody knew that he was a spokesman. And he didn't care about anything but getting the message out. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. How do you know that your day isn't just about to expire? I'm the nut that keeps calling you to realize the funeral home is where you're headed. There's a funeral every day, and you're headed to one too. Have you got your plot? Have you paid up for your funeral? Because you're going to have one. I don't want you to meet your funeral, to meet your date, and you be not prepared. Look at this. At the same time, the anthropomorphous ape, as Professor Schaffenhausen has remarked, will no doubt be exterminated. But notice this. The break between man and his nearest allies will then be wider, for it will intervene between man in a more civilized state, as we may hope, even than the Caucasian, and the same ape as low as a baboon, instead of as now between the Negro or Australian and the gorilla. Anthropology Review, April 1867, page 236. That's the way these anthropologists viewed the different races. The Caucasian race, they're well, let's just let them go ahead and tell you. Who cares about the black community on West End, Mr. Jones? I've never seen you doing anything in regard to the Natural History Museum. I've never heard you in any of these venues where we stand up against this stuff. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that stand up against that. The First Baptist Church, or one of the Baptist churches up there, they were up there cutting the ribbon singing Amazing Grace. So thankful that we get the Natural History Museum, takes all of our money. It may be quite true that some Negroes are better than some white men, but no rational man, cognizant of the facts, believes that the average Negro is equal, still less the superior of the average white man. And if this be true, it is simply incredible that all his disabilities are removed. When all his disabilities are removed and our prognathous relatives have a fair field and no favor, as well as no oppressor, he will be able to compete successfully with his bigger brain and smaller jawed rival in a contest which is to be carried on by thoughts and not by bites. Man, you talk about demeaning literature. Now that is racism gone to seed. That's the Natural History Museum. And don't tell me that they don't ascribe to this guy. They celebrated him last year. I didn't see any of the churches getting up in arms. I didn't hear anybody buying airtime except us. We went down there and stood up against their #1 paleontologist that came in here from Maryland, challenged him to debate, had him out in the parking lot. He said, I might just do that, but he might not. He took off on back to Maryland, and Mr. Dooley, Tom Dooley down there, the other paleontologist, the resident paleontologist, he actually tried to take my camera out of my hand the next time I talked to him over at the library, public library. Now, this is what these folks are promoting, that the bigger brain white man, smaller jawed rival, is actually superior. Now, who really cares about West End, Mr. Jones? We've been fighting gambling, we've been fighting immorality, we've been fighting racism, and we've been standing up to the biggest racist individuals. These individuals who are involved in this platform. This is the biggest platform in the area. $14 million for this entity. And it is taking money on a continual basis, and it is involved in the filthiest behavior in association with the Smithsonian. The highest place in the hierarchy of civilization will assuredly not be within the reach of our dusky cousins, though it is by no means necessary that they should be restricted to the lowest. That's how they would say it. The emphasis that I'm putting on that comes out of their mouth, because that's the kind of feelings they have for the black community. Now, folks, that is the way it is. That's on record. Who do we have on the line?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Where are you getting all that insanity that you're reading from?
All that what?
All of this that you're reading about
Darwin. Charles Darwin.
About Negroes' brains is smaller and the jaws bigger.
Charles Darwin.
Well, this man is insane.
Thank you.
The black man's brain is bigger than all human beings' brain.
Oh, now we have the other racists on the line. You have...
No, I'm not racist.
Malvester, you are one of the most racist individuals that I know on this side.
The fact is that we are the original people. The original people we have 7.5 ounces of brain. And that the black man has 7 of them. That's not racist. That's a fact. You go to a doctor and he'll tell you that.
Okay, wait a minute. Now,
racist.
Did you get this from the same guy that said the moon turned over and poured half of its water out on the earth?
Well, you know what?
I'm just asking.
You know what? You know what, Johnny? You tried to make a joke. Wait a minute. I listen to you, and you listen to me.
No,
okay?
I own the broadcast. You don't make the rules on here if your brain is bigger. I own the broadcast here. If you want to make your point and you want to make it the way you make it, you buy time. Otherwise, we'll be fair. You can talk. I'm just going to go get some information while you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. That stuff that's you putting on the TV is not true.
Which part?
When you talk about racism, do you know what racism means?
Now, Malvester, did you not realize that I was reading something that I don't believe? I don't believe what Darwin said. I'm trying to make a point that Darwin was racist. And then you come on as if I'm promoting Darwinism. I'm trying to demonstrate that the Natural History Museum is trying to put the black man down. Darwin was a racist.
Okay. Well, in this fight, we together then. Because that's not true.
That's what
about whether he's racist or not.
That's what I'm saying.
He's telling a lie.
Okay. So I'm
telling a lie. It's not true because you can't never find nowhere in the history where we have been living in as an animal. If you go back in a Tarzan movie, we had civilization.
Well, can I ask you this? Can I ask you this, Malvester? This is what I want to get to. Why is it, this is the part that I can't understand, why is it that when I'm actually saying things that if persons would slow down, they would realize that I'm telling the truth, and when you picked up on the program, somehow or other, you heard me being racist when I'm actually trying to demonstrate that I'm the one who's standing up against the biggest part of our community that is the problem, and that is these elitist individuals who are behind the Natural History Museum and the movement. They are basically what I'm calling the #1 problem. They think they're smarter and better than all of us. Now, how did you get the other side of it? Did you just like tune in and thought I was dumb enough to just be racist here on TV?
Well, I seen what you was talking about on TV, and I'm answering it. Anytime I see wrong going on, I speak to it, right?
Okay, but
so
you were actually
wrong,
speaking
then,
to it.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, I appreciate that. That basically means to me that now you're being fair-minded. But what about what you were saying a while ago about the other side of it? The way you were arguing, you were simply just taking the other side of the argument and just basically now saying that the black man is better. And so, see, that's not going to help us. I
didn't say that. I didn't say they were better.
What'd you say? Bigger brain.
I said that originally, we are the original people of it, right? So the original, we have 7.5 ounces of brain, and that's a fact. That's not nothing I'm saying. And I'm not pointing at anybody. I'm not bragging or anything. That's a fact. And by us being the original, we produce everybody else on the planet. That's all I'm saying, and that's not racist. That's the truth.
How do you establish
the truth in the school? Then people wouldn't think it's racist.
But see, Malvester, how do you establish a fact?
How do I do what?
How do you establish a fact?
A fact?
Yes, when you say something is a fact, how do you establish a fact?
Well,
did this man say it? Is that what makes it fact, or have you actually demonstrated that your brain is bigger?
All you got to do is go to doctors, and they'll tell you that. Science will tell you that. I'm not saying something that I'm talking off the cuff. I'm telling you the truth. Now, you prove me wrong. Go to some doctors and find out if I'm lying or not. Then you can come back and say, "No, it's a lie."
Okay, now, I've read this man's book, and there's not anything scientific about it, and I know that you adhere to this man.
You know what? That is the man that I follow, and he's alive, living, and well.
Did he say a scientist?
Leave it alone. It matters not what you think or feel.
Did he say a scientist actually created a white man?
It was the black people made the white man
out of a dog.
And he made it out of what?
Out of a dog.
What? I didn't hear you.
Out of a dog.
No, that's not true.
Okay, how did he say it?
No.
Well, he was.
I don't know where you get your information from.
Okay, well, let me. I knew it was some word with a D. Okay, it was a devil.
No.
Don't say no. Don't say no too loud now. Don't say no. Don't say no too loud now.
Wait a minute. If you let me, I'll tell you.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Back in the year of 9, a man named Yakub seen there was 2 germs in the black man, a black and brown germ. And so he went to work at grafting the germ out. And when he grafted the germ out, he made all the different races. And the white man was the last one.
I don't think that's the way I read that book.
And the white race was born in the year of 9004.
Okay. All right, so, Malvester, I'm basically saying tonight you're the other side of the coin that we're trying to get rid of.
Wait a minute. See, your problem is, Johnny, your problem is that you don't know, and you arguing with truth that you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
See, most of this stuff you teaching about the Christmas and all that, I taught that years ago.
Well, do you think I just came up with it today? Do you think I came up with it today? Are you telling me, Malvester?
Go to the 10th chapter of Jeremiah.
Okay. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm glad Malvester called in, and we let him talk, and he demonstrated to us that he's the other side of this coin. And you know that he's the other side of the coin. Like I say, I'm glad he called in, and let's see if we can get him. Yes, caller?
Go to the 10th.
Okay, we're going to move to the next caller. Yes, caller.
Yes, sir. I don't much believe what that man's saying about.
Okay, I can tell when somebody's disguising their voice. Let's don't play like little children now. All right, so see, Malvester made our show tonight. He basically came on and demonstrated the other side of the Darwin coin. Malvester has a a teacher that will say things like the moon turned over, and which one was it first, 3 or 4?
4 first.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
I'm enjoying your show tonight. This past week, your name came up in a couple of topics that I was talking about. And, Johnny, Eugene Grant always called and talked to me, and he says that one thing that you and I try to stand for, that's truth. And I've told you before, I'm not a minister. I've got my faults, you know. But, Johnny, why do people stand fast in that stubbornness when they see that they're doing wrong?
You know, the only thing that I can come up with, Mike, is people just don't care. I mean, that's what my lesson is about tonight. People from the Smithsonian Institute, the Natural History Museum here, don't care about what the Smithsonian is doing in the homosexual realm. And I've got more to show you tonight. It's just unbelievable, the level of don't care. And then individuals will try to say that I don't care. And then you have Malvester on the other side of it. You know, he's basically the far edge the other way. And when he actually called in with his superior brain, he actually didn't even realize that I was taking up for him. And so I just don't know, Mike. Only thing I know to do is just keep putting the information out there. Just keep putting the information out there. And, you know, I will say this, Mike, and I hope that you realize this. We never really tell people you got to come to 823 Starling Avenue. What we tell people is you got to do what the Bible says. We don't care where it's done. Go to the church that you're in and start pressing them. Go to the Bible and let's do what the Bible says. And see, that way I get to answer my critics on the other side who say, well, you're just jealous because you don't have a mega church. I don't want any more responsibility than I have. You know, this is as much as I can handle. And I do appreciate the fact that it's making sense with you, because I know that you read. I listen to you when you quote figures and quote facts from the law books and whatever, and I know that your brain is actually able to manage all that stuff, and you ought to be using it for the glory of God.
And Johnny, you know what? I'm working toward that. But you know what's hard, Johnny? And I say this all the time, and regardless, when you have a fault and you go to man that says, I am a leader and I know the Word of God, and you start to look and you say, this ain't no better than what I come from. You just going at a different way. You're pimping me, you know.
I know it. I know it. But the thing is, Mike, you never gave us a try. If you can't get them to do what you know what the Bible says, and you can't get the next one to do it, and you basically say, well, I'm tired of fighting that too, come over where there's some harmony, because we're doing what the Bible says, and we're trying to fight things. Now, I'm not always necessarily going to get in everybody else's particular agenda and what they're fervent about, because I've got to stay focused. If I don't do anything else while I'm on this earth, I'm going to have people read the Bible.
Well, Johnny, I'll tell you this. I'm going to give you a try, brother, okay?
Okay. All right. Appreciate the call.
All right.
All right. Okay. Now, I got to get this information in. I know we got other people calling, but y'all just have to hold on tonight, because we got to get this information in. Okay. Who cares? That's what we're talking about. We've demonstrated that the Natural History Museum is focusing, is promoting that information from Darwin. And Darwin was an individual. You know, he wasn't a scientist. The guy was a preacher. He didn't have education to be a scientist. The man jumped a ship when he had dropped out of 1 year of medical school and had been to divinity school, and he came up with all this stuff. And his brain, I agree with Malvester on that one, his brain wasn't very big. But guess what people will do with stuff like that? Same thing they're doing with all this filth in the Smithsonian Institute. Ellen DeGeneres not all that smart either. But she's in the Smithsonian Institute and has a part in a big display up there. You don't have to be smart, because people don't care. They just let anything go. Faith Memorial, here's an example. Big, humongous building on 58, right up there at the stoplight as you're going into Danville. Dickey's is right across from over there. Strip mall there owned by Roy Younger. This is the pastor that one of his members stole a videotape, actually took a videotape, took a video player from my 15-year-old. It was assault. That's exactly what it is. You can't just jump on somebody and take their equipment. He took it from him, took the videotape, lied about the fact that they couldn't find it, had a lawyer write me a letter and talk about they can't find the videotape. Then when they put Micah on trial for asking a simple question inside of a public a church building, these guys all came, he came up to see their handiwork, but it didn't work out the way that they wanted to. But see, what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is individuals in this area don't care. Hold on to that thought. Here we have Eric Mundy. Now, I'm in Eric Mundy's office, and I want you to notice the dilemma that our officials are in. Take a watch. Let's get this, and then we'll make our point. Were you at City Council?
Yes, I was.
Let me get off of the one I was on and go to the City Council. Hold on, the City Attorney's office. Here we go.
Thing that should be addressed by our zoning code, that we need to fix the problem that we have. Now,
Can I ask a question about,
that's all I got.
do you feel like a little bit of frustrated in the sense that it seems like the religious community wants the government to do all of the legislating of morality, when in fact the religious community could actually shine the light on people who are renting to these individuals and say, well, what church do they go to? And everybody in that church then say, you know, you're actually contributing to the downfall. We're up at the City Council doing this or that, and yet no one from the religious community seems to be saying anything about the persons who rent to them and things. Is that a frustrating factor?
Well,
what about this? As a religious person who...
Okay, I kind of put him on the spot there. My question again was, isn't it frustrating to you, Mr. Mundy? You got the religious people, they actually want the government to legislate. And the religious community sits back and expects the government to do all their legislating. When the pastors, the pulpits where the power is, y'all, this is what changes people. Here is a case in point. Mr. Lackey, he's got a member there named Roy Younger. Does he care what Roy Younger is doing? Roy Younger, I actually have a video. I sometimes forget all the stuff that I've got. Take a look at what is going on right next door to Pastor Lackey. Okay, I'm not going to use any audio on this. I'm going to talk through it. Okay, you recognize this? That's Dickey's. Dickey's is a very wonderful barbecue place. Texas barbecue, by the way. You get beef there. In that strip mall, Roy Younger owns it. Right here's a sign that says, if you want to rent, you call Roy Younger up. Roy Younger goes to church right across the street at Faith Memorial. I know they can see this parking lot. I know they can see what goes on in Mr. Younger's parking lot in his building, and notice what we see going on. And do you think the pastor's going to say anything? Do you think that Pastor Lackey is going to put any pressure? See, that's what I was asking Mr. Mundy. I said, in order for this to be stopped, it would be simple for the pastors to simply say, who's renting to these folks? You know, who's renting these buildings, and get up in the pulpit, and even if they don't go to your church, you could actually talk to their relatives and say, you know what, your relative is renting to these folks and they're taking advantage of people over on West End, and you ought not to do it. You think the pastor's going to do it? I hear tell the pastors are saying we want the winnings. Look at there. Sweepstakes gambling right there in Roy Younger's building right across the street from Faith Memorial where he goes. Do you think they care? They don't care. Roy Younger cussed me in the parking lot of that building. They don't care. They're not concerned about that. You won't hear them preaching against gambling. You won't hear Mr. Younger being put any pressure on. You see what we're talking about tonight, folks? People don't care. That's where we are tonight, and that's the problem. That's why we have individuals that are going off into atheism and agnosticism. People do not care. And tonight, Book of Mormon on here, my son, he's not 15 years old anymore. He's now 17. And he went today and talked with some young guys that he had met last week, and in their book it says that if you meet somebody, if you meet a person, you basically, there are two kinds of beings, the heavenly, namely angels, and the resurrected personages having the bodies of flesh and bones. For instance, Jesus said, handle me and see me, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones, as you see me have. Secondly, the spirits of just men made perfect, they are not resurrected, but inherit the same glory. When a messenger comes saying he has a message from God, offer him your hand and request him to shake hands with you. Well, what if he doesn't shake hands with you? Well, notice this. If he be an angel, he will do so, and you will feel his hand. In other words, if he's an angel, you will feel that there is no feeling there, and you know it's an angel. If he is the spirit of a just man made perfect, he will come in his glory, for that is the only way he can appear, and at the same, and ask him to shake hands with you, and he will not move, because it's contrary to the order of heaven for the just man to deceive, but he will still deliver the message. Now, my son actually did this to these two guys, and they didn't know what he was doing. They didn't know what was going on, and he actually met with them today, and he asked them about that. And they actually lied on camera.
Contrary to the order of heaven for a just man to deceive, but he will still deliver his message.
That's talking about an angel when he comes to deliver a message from heaven.
Now, it is not talking about an angel. It is talking about a just man made perfect. When they met Caleb, he did not shake hands with him. He just stood. He didn't make a move. And he told them before their meeting was over, I have a message for you, and they're supposed to listen to him. And the Mormon guy turned around and told him, no, that was the way an angel does. That's a lie. But see, you see what our lesson is tonight, folks? Who cares? Who really cares? And do you know our community is actually seeing that we don't care? Tonight, in the churches of Christ, we do care. You're our last caller on What Does the Bible Say? What can we do for you?
Yes, sir. You hung up on me. Now, wait for a minute.
Now, are you sure that's your real voice? I could be wrong.
Yes, sir.
What's that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now, I was just wondering what that man was talking about, saying the scientists made the white man.
Okay. I don't know what he was talking about. That's a book. That's a book. I do.
Because the scientists did not make the white man.
Okay. I do know what it is. It's a book called A Message to the Black Man, and it's put out by Elijah Muhammad, and that's the Nation of Islam's book, and that was Malvester Muhammad, and he believes that stuff. He believes the moon turned over and it poured out water, and that's where we got our water. Okay. I appreciate your call. I hope that we answered that for you tonight. Sorry, we just got an hour. We got to go. Appreciate your call. All right. Thank you much. Okay, folks, we hope that you enjoyed the show and you got some information. We want you to know that there's always more information. We have much more information to give you. Many DVDs that we've done on the Natural History Museum and Darwin and evolution and debates that we've had with these individuals. The whole thing's all free to you. All you have to do is call me at 276-806-2150. God bless you. Good night. Always ask for What Does the Bible Say?